I went to class feeling dutiful. I couldn't honestly say what happened in biology. My mind was too preoccupied with thoughts of tomorrow. In gym, Mike was speaking to me again. He wished me a good time in Seattle. I carefully explained that I canceled my trip, worried about my truck. Are you going to the dance with Cullen? He asked, suddenly sulky. No, I'm not going to the dance at all. What are you doing then? He asked, too interested. My natural urge was to tell him to butt out. Instead, I lied brightly. Laundry? And then I have to study for the trig test, or I'm going to fail. Is Cullen helping you study? Edward, I emphasized, is not going to help me study. He's going away somewhere for the weekend. The lies came more naturally than usual, I noted with surprise. Oh, he perked up. You know, you can come to the dance with our group anyway. That would be cool. We'll all dance with you, he promised. The mental image of Jessica's face made my tone sharper than necessary. I'm not going to the dance, Mike, okay? Fine. He sulked again. I was just offering. When the school day had finally ended, I walked to the parking lot without enthusiasm. I didn't especially want to walk home, but I couldn't see how he would ever retrieve my truck. And again, I was starting to believe that nothing was impossible for him. The later instinct proved correct. My truck sat in the same space he parked his Volvo in this morning. I shook my head incredulous as I opened the unlocked door and saw the key in the ignition. There was a piece of white paper folded on my seat. I got in and closed the door before I folded it. Two words were written in this elegant script. Be safe. The sound of the truck roaring to life frightened me. I laughed at myself. When I got home, the handle of the door was locked, the deadbolt unlocked, just as I left it this morning. Inside, I went straight to the laundry room. It looked just the same as I left it, too. I dug for my jeans, and after finding them, checked the pockets. Empty. Maybe I hung my key up after all, I thought, shaking my head. Following the same instinct that had prompted me to lie to Mike, I called Jessica on a pretense of wishing her good luck at the dance. When she offered the same wish for my date with Edward, I told her about the cancellation. She was more disappointed than really necessary for a third-party observer to be. I said goodbye quickly after that. Charlie was absent-minded at dinner, worried over something at work, I guessed. Or maybe a basketball game. Or maybe he was just really enjoying the lasagna. It was hard to tell with Charlie. You know, Dad, I began, breaking into his reverie. What's that, Belle? I think you're right about Seattle. I think I'll wait until Jessica or someone else can go with me. Oh, he said, surprised. Oh, okay. Well, do you want me to stay home? No, Dad. Don't change your plans. I've got a million things to do. Homework, laundry, I need to go to the library and the grocery store. I'll be in and out all day. You go and have fun. Are you sure? Absolutely, Dad. Besides, the freezer is getting dangerously low on fish. We're down to a 2, maybe 3 year supply. You're sure you to live with, Bella, he smiled. I could say the same thing about you, I said, laughing. The sound of my laughter was off, but he didn't seem to notice. I felt so guilty for deceiving him that I almost took Everett's advice and told him where I would be. Almost. After dinner, I folded clothes and moved another load to the dryer. Unfortunately, it was the kind of job that only keeps hands busy. My mind definitely had too much free time, and it was getting out of control. I fluctuated between anticipation so intense that it was very nearly pain, and an insidious fear that picked up my resolve. I had to keep reminding myself that I had made my choice and I wasn't going back on it. I pulled his note out of my pocket much more often than necessary to absorb the 2 small words he'd written. He wants me to be safe, I told myself again and again. I would just hold on to the faith that, in the end, that desire would win out over the others. And what was my other choice? To cut him out of my life? It's intolerable. Besides, since I come to Forks, it really seemed like my life was about him. But a tiny voice in the back of my mind worried, wondered if it would hurt very much if it ended badly. I was relieved when it was late enough to be acceptable for bedtime. I knew I was far too stressed to sleep, so I did something I'd never done before. I deliberately took unnecessary cold medicine, the kind that knocked me out for a good 8 hours. I normally wouldn't condone that type of behavior in myself, but tomorrow would be complicated enough without me being loopy from sleep deprivation on top of everything else. While I waited for the drugs to kick in, I dried my clean hair until it was impeccably straight and fussed over what I would wear tomorrow. With everything ready for the morning, I finally lay in my bed. I felt hyper. I couldn't stop twitching. I got up and rifled through my shoebox of CDs until I found a collection of Soap Pen's Nocturnes. I put that on very quietly and then lay down again, concentrating on relaxing individual parts of my body. Somewhere in the middle of that exercise, the cold pills took effect, and I gladly sank into unconsciousness. I woke early, having woke soundly and sleeplessly thanks to my gratuitous drug use. Though I was rested, I slipped right back into the hectic frenzy from the night before. I dressed in a rush, smoothing my collar against my neck, fidgeting with the tan sweater until it hung right over my jeans. I peeked a swift look out the window to see that Charlie was already gone. A thin, cottony layer of clouds veiled the sky. They didn't look very lasting. I ate breakfast without tasting the food, hurrying to clean up when I was done. I peeked out the window again, but nothing had changed. I just finished brushing my teeth and was heading back downstairs when a quiet knock sent my heart thudding against my rib cage. I flew to the door. I had a little trouble with the simple deadbolt, but I yanked the door open at last, and there he was. All the agitation dissolved as soon as I looked at his face, calm taking its place. I breathed a sigh of relief. Yesterday's fear seemed very foolish with him here. He wasn't smiling at first. His face was somber, but then his expression lightened as he looked me over and he laughed. "Good morning," he chuckled. "What's wrong?" I glanced down to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything important, like shoes or pants. "We match," he laughed again. I realized he had on a long, light tan sweater on, with a white collar showing underneath, and blue jeans. I laughed with him, hiding a secret twinge of regret. Why did he have to look like a runway model when I couldn't? I locked the door behind me while he walked to the truck. He waited by the passenger door with a moderate expression that was easy to understand. "We made a deal," I reminded him smugly, climbing into the driver's seat and reached over to unlock his door. "Where to?" I asked. "Put your seatbelt on. I'm nervous already." I gave him a dirty look as I complied. "Where to?" I repeated with a sigh. "Take the 101 north," he ordered. It was surprisingly difficult to concentrate on the road while feeling his gaze on my face. I compensated by driving more carefully than usual through the still sleeping town. "Were you planning to make it out of Forks before nightfall?" "This truck is old enough to be your car's grandfather. Have some respect," I retorted. We were soon out of the town limits, despite his negativity. Thick underbrush and green swath trunks replaced the lawns and houses. "Turn right on the 110, he instructed, just as I was about to ask. I obeyed silently. Now we drive until the pavement ends. I could hear a smile in his voice, but I was too afraid of driving off the road and proving him right to look over it and be sure. "And what's there at the pavement's end?" I wondered. "A trail." "We're hiking?" Thank goodness I wore tennis shoes. "Is that a problem?" He sounded as if he expected as much. "No." I tried to make the lie sound confident. "But if he thought my truck was slow." "Don't worry. It's only 5 miles or so, and we're in no hurry." 5 miles? I didn't answer so that he wouldn't hear my voice crack in panic. 5 miles of treacherous roots and loose stones, trying to twist my ankles or otherwise incapacitate me. This was going to be humiliating. We drove in silence for a while as I contemplated the coming horror.